All right, here we go, boys. Last one for Sunday. They apparently think that the the assassin of Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, was involved with a transgender person on a Discord. We don't really know, but this is them talking about it. Let's see how this goes. The FBI says.
So, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, reportedly.
I would like to say that I don't really care what that person was. I don't care if they're trans. I care that there are people that are fueling the flames of this to the point where somebody goes out and actually harms another person. That's what I care about.
lived with a transgender.
I'm not one of those people that believes that every transgender person is evil and they need help and all this. Some of them do. Some of them actually need help, but like not a solid majority. I feel like there are some that just want to transition and then fuck off and be left alone, you know? And I think that's awesome for them.
Their partner in Utah, according to FBI officials.
And this is the same partner that reportedly came forward with messages from the suspect discussing the killing, including the rifle, engraved bullets, and a change of clothes.
Jesus.
Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Gagliano joining us now. You know, we've had this conversation, my friend, about the nexus of information as we continue to unpack this investigation. If you wouldn't mind, is it relevant at all as a data point who this person, this shooter was involved with?
Absolutely. They need to make sure that he's not part of some organized terrorist cell that they're not aware of. Absolutely, it matters. They need to know who he was hanging around. They need to know, like, because, like, let's say you have a child that is always on, you know, always around the family, and then they start becoming more reclusive, more to themselves, and then they go out and do something like this, and then come to find out they had found, like, some online identity or people that had coerced him, gassed him up, told him things that he thought were right, and then were obviously really messed up, and then he goes out and does something like this and ruins his life. You need to know what would make a person want to throw away their life for this.
Does that matter at all as we look at the investigation in terms of the community? Lawrence, and I think even Rachel mentioned earlier, Discord communities. How do you unpack that when people say, oh, well, it shouldn't matter?
See, it's going to get to a point where the FBI is going to have to start investigating if you put if you look up how to make bombs online on like the internet and Google, you get put on an FBI watch list, and they monitor you for like a while, and then I think you drop off, or you just stay on there forever. But like, I mean, I think everybody at some point is just, you know, out of like curiosity looked it up or whatever. But I feel like at some point you're gonna start the FBI is gonna have to start getting more involved with Discord and these online messages, and in YouTube's comments about, like, if you were to type out death or kill and somebody's name, I feel like they should be put on a watch list. I mean, Google's been doing it for years. I don't know how these people aren't being put on a watch list for typing out certain phrases and words in a sentence.
Investigations are layered. And really, when you go
and for you people that seem to think that you have privacy online, people haven't had privacy online for years now. I hate to break it to you, but if ever, you do realize that even if you're looking for something incognito mode where there's no search history, if the FBI subpoenaed the records from, you know, Google, they could still see your viewing history. They could see everything. That even with the VPN, they can just subpoena the VPN company and Google. Like, they can get all that information if they want it. You don't really have any privacy online. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but that's the truth.
Look at this now. We're seeing this new ideation, which is assassination culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
What does that consist of?
Yeah. Yes. It's kind of crazy. It went from cancel to kill. Like, it's crazy.
With a grievance. These are all grievance collectors, whether it's a mass shooter, a terrorist, or a political assassin. You add into that an ideology. My ideology is superior to yours. You're an existential threat. You're going to stop the next election.
What's crazy is that, like, terrorists think the same thing whenever they bombed the Twin Towers, or like what happened with, you know, Patriots Day or the Boston Marathon bombings is that they've tried this before of we're going to kill somebody or kill a bunch of people and it's going to demoralize you, and all it does is make us come together and become stronger to fight against these disgusting acts of terrorism. Because at the end of the day, you can use your tyranny on your own people as much as you want, but you can't do it to Americans. Americans have been living free for so long, we don't know anything else, and we're willing to stand up and come together as a community to fight against stupidity any day. And apparently some of the Americans are even finding that out. I mean, now, with how many assassination attempts, were done to Trump, and then this kid doing this to Kirk, there's only so many times you can try.
You're against my family unit. And last, moral absolutism. You believe that you are superior, your thinking is superior, and I have the right to take your life because I disagree with you.
So in this country, we have a history, sadly, of political assassinations.
Right.
And, let's take JFK, for example. People had a lot of ideas and theories about what would have what happened. And was that killer or shooter, he was obviously a disturbed person, but who was actually behind animating and using that disturbed?
That's the thing is, like, you can be a disturbed person, but there's always going to be somebody behind you that's going to gas you up and make you feel like what you feel is valid and okay to do. Very, 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 very rarely do people go out and do things based on their own morals. They usually do it based on how many other people are going to back them. But you have to realize something, that whenever you go and do something like this, it doesn't really matter who you are or where you're from. I mean, for example, this guy's family turned him in. His dad turned him in. So at the end of the day, like, you can be like, oh, my family's always got my back. My friends always have my back. No, they don't. You're going to be the one in cuffs, or you're going to be the one that ends up dead in some kind of weird, crazy shootout, or from taking your own life because you got surrounded by police and you know what's going to happen. You're going to be the one that goes down. Nobody else will. And you need to understand that no matter how many times you get gassed up by anybody around you, you're the one that's going to be the fall goat.
Person to actually, kill our president. So do we know anything about that? And do you feel like our government can be trusted to dig that deep?
We're certainly not immune to political.
Doesn't matter if we can trust them or not. They're doing it already. They don't need our permission to do anything. They own everything. You really think they need our permission to do anything? No. They do it already.
Political violence. I mean, in our 250-year history, 4 sitting presidents have been assassinated. We're conditioned, sadly, Rachel, that's normal. Whether it's Gabby Giffords or Justice Kavanaugh, we think that that's almost our norm. Charlie was an interlocutor. He was somebody that just went to college campuses.
That's the thing is, he wasn't a political figure. He talked about politics, sure, but he wasn't running. He was just a talker. He was just an influencer. He was a talker. No different than a comedian that steps on stage and makes fun of little people, or a black person that gets on stage and makes fun of white people. But God forbid if it was vice versa, right? I'm joking, by the way, but still. When you try to justify the death of somebody who wasn't even a political figure, you kind of really set the goal pretty low for most people to go out and commit murder. You just do. Because who's to say the same thing couldn't come back to you?
Baited. Now, in looking at this assassin and what he did, it was just a cacophony of errors and how clumsy it was. He was successful in what he ultimately set out to do in his dad.
I think he got lucky with that first shot. That's why he had 3 other shots. I mean, I'm sure he went out and practiced quite a bit, but I think he got so lucky.
Deed. He is essentially a murderous nihilist. But the FBI now is digging deeper. Was he inspired by somebody or something? And was
Absolutely.
he directed, or did anybody provide any material support? That's important.
That's what I want to know.
Can we stay right there? Because, and we got a statement from Discord, which is the chat feature, the gaming app that they were using. Now, they say that they've kicked them off the app, and the communications that took place were after the assassination. I'm not comfortable with just the company's answer. I want to say
very smart man right there. The last thing you want to do is take the company's answer for what it is. That's why you've got the FBI investigating it.
forensic people do. Do you think there could have been planning on the app before? And if the people that he was communicating with knew about it or had conversation about it, will they be brought in?
That's the tough thing. I mean,
I feel like they should be. If Trump passes a terrorism law for like domestic terrorism, because that's pretty much what this guy was. He was a domestic terrorist. They need to start bringing in people that fuel these people up and charge them with like some kind of secondary offense that gives them up to like 15 or 20 years in prison. It's no different than if you were to egg somebody on in like a shooting or a robbery. You need to charge these people as well because they're also to blame.
Fourth Amendment.
They may not have been the one that pulled the trigger, but they didn't help.
Protections, against illegal searches and seizures and all of our privacies that we appreciate as well. This is tough. Remember 2015 San Bernardino and at the time FBI Director
Especially if you've got a mentally ill person like who doesn't really, I mean, they know better, but they're overrun with their own feelings and are so busy trying to get the appreciation of the people around them that they don't realize, like, you know where I'm going with that, I hope.
Me trying to get into an Apple phone from the terrorists who were dead and was unsuccessful. No. We had to end up going and get some kid to break the code because Apple wasn't working with us at the time. Later, they changed their mind.
It's kind of crazy how Apple claimed that there's no way anyone could ever break the code to the phone. And then, like, the FBI was like, okay. And they went to court and did all this and then still ended up not being able to get the thing unlocked. But then they just got some kid to do it and it was just simple.
Yeah, like, it's a tough thing. Again, people online say crazy things. It's separating that from the people that are going to act on it. And Lawrence, to your point,
not even that. If you're going to sit there and advocate for violence and death, you need to go to jail. You need to go to jail for like inciting riot or something. Seriously, you need to go to jail.
That's the tough part.
Well, I think this is going to be a challenge for the FBI. You know, MAGA and President Trump's people are in charge, and I think people are going to. Really...
I feel like there's going to probably be a new FBI watch list that's not going to be like visible to the public, that are going to, like, if you type in certain words and phrases together, like, I'm not going to say it in a string of words, but like if you were to say like kill so-and-so or kill X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to X, Y, and Z, then, and you pair that with like names of political people or stuff like that, I feel like you're going to be put on an FBI watch list. And the thing is that's probably going to be the new thing. If that isn't already implemented, I promise you it will be. I promise you.
Look at this to see, do we have the FBI? Can we restore the trust?
I'm sure there's a way to filter that to every like major platform, like social media wise.
That was lost.
Yeah.
So much of it lost during the last administration. So thank you so much for joining us. Great stuff.
Thank you. Man, great to see. Appreciate that.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian.
That's it for this one. I'm out of here. Peace.